Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I was just reading some flight numbers. So you've been playing disc golf for a while, and you're ready to try your first tournament. Here are some things you definitely need to know. So tournaments are generally not nearly as competitive as you'd think. Most people treat them as more of a social gathering to get everyone from the area together to play some disc golf. Especially for the amateur divisions, it's not going to be anything like you see on YouTube. Now, when picking which tournament you want to play, it's a good idea to start with a smaller one. From smallest to biggest tournaments, you have C tiers, B tiers, A tiers, national tours, and majors. Now, national tours and majors are the highest level of competition, so I'd stay away from those at the beginning. A tiers are pretty big too, so it's a good idea to start with a C tier or a B tier. Now, these are sanctioned tournaments by the PDGA. So if you're not a PDGA member, you're going to have to pay a $10 fee on top of your entry fee. If you play your first tournament and like it, it's a good idea to sign up for the PDGA. It's only $50, so if you pay 5 tournaments, it pays for itself, and it's always good to support the PDGA and what they're doing. Now, before you start your tournament, you want to make sure that all of your discs are legal. This means they can't have any paint or stickers or anything of detectable thickness on them. It also means that they can't be cracked or have any holes through them. And they also need to be marked. Now, most people put their phone number on a disc, but I like to just write my name around the inside. The night before a tournament, I usually go through my bag with a Sharpie and just make sure I have at least my initials on every disc. Real quick, those numbers that popped up on screen just a second ago, those are from the rule book. It said 80 something dot something. It's a really good idea to read the rule book before you go play an event. I mean, it's a pamphlet. It takes 15 minutes to read through. So it's a good idea to do that just so you know what the rules are. And it's also a good idea to carry one. I don't have one with me. I don't actually know where mine is right now. But that's one of the things that it's always a good idea to have in your bag. Another thing you want to make sure you have is a mini. A mini is used a lot like a ball marker in golf. You don't always have to use one, and most of the time if you don't have one, one of your card mates will let you borrow one, but it's a good idea to have your own. You also want to make sure you have a shirt and shoes. Turns out sandals are actually okay. I didn't know that, but you want to make sure you have those. Now, generally on the Facebook page or the event flyer, there'll be a schedule posted for the tournament. When you get there, you want to make sure you get there nice and early. I like to get there an hour before the players meeting so I have time to warm up some drives and some putts before we get started. Before I get there, it's important to eat a big healthy breakfast so you're good and fueled up for your round. Lots of people swear by a pre-round, how to say this? Pooping. It's a good idea to poop before your round. You don't want to be worried about that in hole 7. Now, after you're done warming up, you want to go to the players meeting. At the players meeting, the tournament director or TD will explain any special rules for the course or any out of bounds. Chances are the course is going to play a lot different than if you just played it by yourself, so it's a good idea to make sure you go to that. Now, after the players meeting, you're going to want to go look at the board. The board has got everyone's name on a piece of paper and what holes they're starting on. You want to go find your name, but leave it there. Don't take the card with your name on it. So you find your name and you see which hole you're starting on. If you're at the top of the thing, usually you want to grab the scorecard, but the TD will talk about that at the players meeting. Now, the round's going to be starting soon, so it's a good idea to head that way and meet your card mates. The other people you'll be playing with for that round are going to be at the hole, and it's a good idea to introduce yourself and start to get to know those people. It's also a good idea to make sure one of your card mates has the scorecard. It's really easy to forget and think somebody else will grab it up at the board. Now, you've probably got 5 or 10 minutes, so you can throw some discs around, you can practice putting, you can do whatever you'd like to warm up for your round. 2 minutes before the round starts, there's going to be a 2-minute warning. This is usually an air horn that the TD blows, and once you hear it, it's a good idea to call it back to the people that are further away in case they didn't hear it. After the 2-minute warning, you can't throw any more discs. You've got to stop putting and head back to your hole and get ready to play. Now, once the 2-minute warning is up, the TD will blow the air horn again and call start, and it's time to start the round. Now, when you're playing, you have to follow honors. This is the order that people play in. Generally, it's listed on the scorecard for the first hole, and after that, you follow whoever got the lowest score on the previous hole. Now, when you're playing the hole, the person furthest away from the hole throws first, so nobody's ahead of him while he's throwing and might get hit. And while you're playing, you need to know how to use a mini. A mini is like a ball marker is used in ball golf, and you can use it to mark your disc if you need to pick up your disc for some reason. To mark your disc, you set your mini down on the edge of your disc that's closest to the basket, touching the front of the disc. You set it on the ground and then you can pick up your disc. This is generally optional, but there are some places where you have to use it. If your disc gets stuck up in a tree, you get to play it on the ground directly below wherever your disc is, but you need to use a mini to mark that. If you throw a shot out of bounds, you get up to 1 meter relief from the out of bounds. Usually you mark that by lining your feet up in 3 steps. You have to use a mini at the end of those 3 steps to mark your new lie. Now when you're throwing the disc, you need to make sure your feet are in the right spot. Now when you're throwing your tee shot, you just need to make sure your foot's on the tee pad. But when you're throwing from the fairway, you need to make sure your foot is directly behind your disc within 30 centimeters, which is about 11 inches. If you're too far back or you're off to the side at all, you'll get what's called a foot fault. Now just one foot has to be directly behind the disc. The other one can be out to either side. Now in the rules, if you're closer than 10 meters to the basket, it's considered a putt. 10 meters is usually about 11 steps or 33 feet. And this is what people are referring to when they say the circle. If you're inside the circle, after your throw, you need to make sure that you are demonstrating balance behind your shot before you move forward. And that means while you're putting, you can't putt and then just step through to your target. But if you're outside of 10 meters, you can do that no problem. Generally, if you're worried about it, you can ask your card mates, am I inside the circle or outside the circle? And they'll let you know. Now in keeping score during the round, you want to make sure and pass the scorecard around so everybody takes a turn keeping score. Generally, you're going to keep score for anywhere from 6 to 4 holes because there's usually 3 to 5 people on a card. When taking score, you have to make sure that you hear what everyone says and you double check with them their score. It's also a good idea to say what you got on the hole as you write it down so people can keep track. Now at the end of the round, you have to add up scores. Generally somebody who's more experienced should do this, but it's a good idea to go through and double check your own score to make sure it's right. If your score is wrong, the tournament director will take what your score should have been and add 2 strokes to it. So it's definitely a good idea to make sure you get it right. All right, what else was I gonna say? Let's see, a mandatory is a tree or something that you have to throw around a certain side. You can't go on the wrong side of a mandatory. You can't break branches off of trees. If anything is either alive or still attached to a tree, you cannot move it at all to get out of your shot. If you're ever confused about how to play a certain hole, you can play what's called a provisional, which means you basically play the hole 2 different ways and then you go to the tournament director and ask them. So if you're ever concerned about a rule, you can just play it both ways and then go ask the TD. So that's all I've got for this week. That's a longer video, sorry about that. I had a great time playing at Ledgestone this weekend. It was lots of fun up there. It was a great course. I didn't play so well, but I had fun and it was great meeting some of y'all that came out. This week I have a giveaway. This is a Prime Warden from Disc Golf Nerd. Warden is one of my favorite throwing discs and the Prime plastic feels really amazing. So enter the, what is it called? How did I forget the name of the thing? Google something. Enter the thing in the description. I can't remember. Enter the thing below to enter in the giveaway. I will pick somebody at random and email them to get their address and stuff, and then I'll send out this Warden. I will be picking a winner next Sunday night, so make sure you get entered by then. Thanks for watching, guys. I have a lot of form critiques to do on Facebook. I've gotten really behind. Like I said, I've been gone at Ledgestone all week. But message my Facebook page if you have any questions or if you'd like a form critique. And until next time, remember, slow is smooth and smooth is far.